you start to, although they're recording it too.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So, hi, Randy. Oh, he's talking.
Okay, you guys are now live on YouTube.
Okay. Have to behave myself. There we go. Someone else is called in.
James with Leadstone, Tag Drive.
James.
Nikki with Stainless Technologies.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm sharing. Yeah, as you log in, if you're not seeing the display with the exhibit, let us know. Make sure as you log in, make sure you can see. What we're going to do is just go through the exhibits that were attached to the invitation. Nikki was with Leadstone, I think so. Mr. Birch.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Good. Few people are logging in, so we'll wait. We'll maybe wait 5 or 10 minutes just to make sure everybody wants to participate can call in. So. Maybe while we're waiting, the ones whoever is called in, we'll go ahead and maybe take a roll call and just keep going as people call in if anyone else does. So I'm Ross Johnson. I'm with CBS Squared. We're the design firm for Dunn County, and with me in the office is Mr. John Beckfield, Vice President, CBS Squared.
Maintaining social distancing. From
Maintaining,
Ross at
right.
home, so,
Yeah. Randy, it looks like you're on. Randy Idy.
Yep, Randy Idy, City of Menominee.
I'm Dustin Binder with Dunn County.
Deb Gottliebson with Town of Red Cedar.
John Swarsky, Dunn County.
Hi, John.
Nikki Eishen, Stainless Technologies.
Nikki Eishen, Stainless Technologies.
Colin Birch, Sylvan Containers.
Colin Birch, Sylvan Containers.
Dave Peters.
James Shearer.
We missed that. Who was that? Who just called in?
James Shearer, Leadstone.
Leadstone. Jim from Leadstone.
Dave Peters, Peters Real Estate Development.
Dave Lysis with the JF Ahern Company.
Hi, Dave.
Teresa Davis, Wisconsin DOT.
We'll wait a couple more minutes. If maybe we'll start to get going, and as we see people maybe calling a little bit later, we'll pause and see what we'll see who they are and kind of keep going. So we'll wait a couple more minutes and then we'll start, I think.
I would like to rename the 2 phone numbers that are in the participants list. Who has the number ending 2262? Who has the number ending 4479?
That's Matt Mikesell with Walmart Distribution Center.
Pat Mikesell?
That's right.
Okay.
Walmart Distribution Center.
Walmart.
Oh.
Walmart. Hi, Pat.
Okay, we'll try again. Who has the number ending 2262?
James with Leedston. Sorry, I was muted.
James?
Leadstone.
And what's the last name?
Here.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, so I'm just going to leave it as James.
Works for me.
And Mike, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question? Okay, I am going to lower his hand then.
I wonder. Huh. Oops, what's that? Yeah. Mike Beaupre. Well, I think it's 4:05. I think we'll get started. We'll see if anyone else calls in and we can catch them up real quick. So if you can all hear me okay, once again, Ross Johnson and John Beckfield here.
No, let me point out that there was both a Meet invitation and a Zoom invitation sent as well as the phone invitation. And clearly, nobody's present on Meet except Krista and I were.
Okay.
So it's a bifurcated meeting.
Okay. So did you read? So did you receive the exhibits with the email?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe if you can open those up, and maybe you can kind of follow along. I'll kind of go through page by page and explain kind of what's going on. So.
But you're sharing your screen. That's good enough.
Okay. So what this is, this project is the reconstruction of County B between Highway 12 and 29 and 994, the east side of Menominee. The reason you folks are invited is you occupy the business park on that side of town, and we know that this project will have an impact on traffic and things like deliveries and your employees coming and going. So it's important to us to talk to the people who occupy that business park and sort of talk about what's going to go on, what to expect as far as progress and schedule, and we want to hear from you as far as what your concerns might be with your businesses and how you can kind of get through this. Okay, so I guess to start with what's on my screen now, you see basically there's two two general traffic phases we're planning. We do one side of it's a 4-lane highway, so we have to keep traffic flowing during construction. So we'll do half at a time. Phase one, what we're calling phase one, is we will close the northbound 2 lanes and traffic will be switched single lane counter directional on the southbound side of County B. So as I'm looking at this exhibit, we'll start down at Highway 12 and sort of go through south to north, sort of talk about each intersection and sort of what to expect. So starting at Highway 12, you can see we'll have to install temporary signals at 12 and 29 because nothing really lines up once we close half the road. So part of the project is a lot of temporary signal work up and down the corridor. So under this scenario, we're heading north. You can see the northbound side's closed, southbound side is open. Now, as under this phase, the first thing you might notice is we're thinking about the side streets that are coming out from the west, starting at 578th and going north. We're wondering about a right in and right out only scenario. The reason being is to sort of minimize the heavy flow of traffic that would be going north and impacting all the signals just on only 2 lanes. So one of the ideas, and this is just an idea preliminary, is under this phase, if you're occupying properties on the west side of County B, as you come out, you'll have to go to the south under this phase. So starting at 578th, you'll be going south. You won't be able to turn north. You won't be able to turn south. So I'm going to switch. And then the next thing would be Walton Avenue. Once again, Walton Avenue under phase one. You go to the right, you'll go south. You won't be able to go to the north. And then at the Walmart entrance, that's the trucking entrance to Walmart. That will also be proposed as a right in, right out. In other words, as you exit Walmart, you got to turn to the right and go south. Now, when we get 3M Drive, this will have a temporary traffic signal. 3M Drive will be, all the directions will be open just under the 2 lanes. There'll be temporary signals. So this won't be a right in, right out. This will be to support, this is sort of the main way into the business part for Quick Trip and a lot of that business is along 3M. This will be controlled by temporary signal under this phase. And then as I flip through the next slide, you can see we're looking at the south ramps of I-94. That's where the project ends. So it's 1 mile long. So under this first phase, you can see right in, right out, except 3M Drive, which will have a temporary signal. And that's sort of as a concept what we're thinking about for staging under that, that first part there. To support the flow of traffic, we'll have some temporary paving in the grass medians to create space for temporary extra lanes and bypass lanes at the temporary signals and things like that. So that's some of the early work you'll see on the project is to get things set up for the traffic switch. There'll be paving in the median and that kind of work initially. So is there any questions about as far as what we're talking about so far?
Hey, Ross, this is Randy Ideas. How does the traffic, if it's right turn, right in only on those businesses on the west side, how do they get north? How do they get to I-94 then?
They'd have to go around. That's part of the discussion, that they have to go down to 29 and then would have to go, east or west on 29.
Got it.
To get back.
This is Dan Johnson. It's not clear to me that a right in, right out provision is really necessary. Traffic is very light on County B.
Okay. Yeah, what we were concerned about is since it is only 2 lane right now, you see traffic on 4 lanes. It could be pretty spread out, but sort of the thinking was when we compress that just to 2 lanes during peak hours, that might have you might have some backups and maybe some operational issues at 3M as traffic gets stacked up trying to on 2 lanes, a single lane going northbound. So
I'd
that
be
would, the idea,
surprised.
you know, so
We're not offering it right in, right out at 3M Drive. You're offering it at the Walmart entrance and the other
Right.
businesses. And frankly, traffic is very light on County B. I can't imagine there's going to be a serious backup at any point.
okay. Okay, we'll look at that. That's kind of what we want to hear today. It's
Have you looked at it?
what are you
Have you studied the traffic volumes?
Yeah, they're from 3M, of course, between 3M and 94, it's very heavy truck traffic, and certainly out of the Walmart entrance going north and south, heavy trucks volume. So less so to the south, but seems to be more so north of Walmart. So we're just trying to anticipate and sort of provide some relief to that. But if you're the ones who live out there and see it every day, so if your impression is that a single lane can handle even northbound turning and be able to have the gaps to turn northbound, that's the other issue is remember under single lane counter directional, to come out of your driveway and turn left and go north, you have to wait for a gap in the traffic that's coming south and going north. So that's there may be longer waits because of that, you know. But from what I'm hearing is you're saying traffic and from your perspective is light enough that won't be an issue. Is that right?
Well, I haven't done a formal traffic study, but I've spent a lot of time at the airport and a lot of time on those roads, both on automobile and bicycle, and it's never congested.
Okay.
Am I wrong, Randy?
Stand by, I had to get unmuted. Yeah, I don't know the actual count, Dan. My concern is there are times when the traffic is very light there. So, I mean, if we design it for the first, the peak hours, there's gonna be a lot of times when vehicles are not gonna be able to make that left turn when they've got plenty of room to do it.
When they got plenty of room, so there'll be some frustration. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
And I think the businesses, you know, would get frustrated. You're gonna get some people violating it. I would
It'd be hard to
I'd lean more towards keeping those turning movements, especially at the Walmart one. And I don't know all the business off of Walnut, but some of those where we got a lot of truck traffic coming to the option to take a left turn, I think they'll take it if it's free. If it's not, they'll take a right turn.
Yeah.
You know,
That'll be hard to enforce anyway.
I would lean more in that direction, Ross. You know,
Yeah.
if it becomes an issue, we can make it right turn right in only later if we wanted to.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe on the fly, we could proceed with, you can turn either way. And then during construction or that first phase, if we see issues out there, that's something that can be, you know, it could be changed on the fly too. That's a good point. Yeah.
It seems good.
Yeah.
How long do you think phase 1 is going to last?
$10 to 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
10 to 12 weeks, probably 10 weeks. They got to tear the pavement up, the reconstruction,
Concrete cure time.
concrete cure time, storm sewer, you know, 10 weeks, 12, each phase, similar.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This is Steve from Transportation Walmart. We process 300 plus trucks in and out of that yard, our yard every day, just to give you an idea. 5 o'clock is crazy on 3M Drive, but you know, we'll just have to take our time, I guess. That's the car traffic, because the shift change, that's when it gets a little huge there on 3M Drive. And compile that with 3M cars as well.
And Randy ID here again. I'd just like to add Ross and the county. You know, we're excited about getting this permanent fix on B. I don't know if Ross started it, maybe John wants to jump in. You know, what the county's got on there right now is this stretch of B has been overlaid, but that's not going to last very long with that kind of traffic on there. So what they have funding for with support from the DOT is to get more of a permanent fix, as permanent as roads can be, for that section of County Highway B. So we're excited about getting it repaired, bringing it up to standards. And I just want to make sure the businesses understand that it looks good today, but that's because the county put, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, put more of a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah, we put a $300,000 Band-Aid on here a year and a half ago to get us through till next year when we can reconstruct.
So I just want to point that out. Some of the businesses may be looking at, hey, you just resurfaced it. Well, it was just County Highway B was in such bad shape, the county had to do something, and now we'll get a permanent fix in a year. So.
No, we're glad it's being done. We appreciate it.
I'll run through the other phase here real quick then too. So now phase 2. So that means that the northbound side has been reconstructed, new concrete. So now we're going to put traffic over there and close southbound side. So similar, similar phasing. Now under this scenario, 578th would be closed for this phase, because 578th Avenue has an easy way to get out to the west 29. So rather than try to gap the paving and gap the work zone to let maybe not many vehicles out, it's better to close it off and just sort of make them go the other way, and it makes the work zone better for our contractor. And we get to Walton Avenue, we'd gap Walton Avenue. So the cars or vehicles coming out of Walton would be able to cross the work zone, and that gap would be filled in later. And as you see, once again, I show the paving in the median to allow extra lanes, extra room for vehicles to get through the work zone, use that space in the median. And then the entrance at Walmart, of course, would be gapped, and we're proposing that would be they'd have a temporary traffic signal because of the amount of trucks that are coming out of the entrance. And with northbound side being complete, there's room to introduce separate left turn lanes at these temporary signals, perhaps that would that provide storage space for the turning trucks and be able to let the through traffic release. And then of course we get the 3M drive, and that will have a temporary traffic signal to maintain the flow of traffic all directions in and out of 3M. And once again, gapping the work zones. So the closing the gaps, paving the gaps would be done as a final phase, and try to do it maybe during off-peak hours or even at night to get those intersections completed. Probably closing the gaps would probably be tough during the day, anywhere near peak hours. That the contractor's got to have room to fill that in. So we'd look at nighttime work or off-peak hours to be able to phase those final gaps and get that closed. And then at the ramps at 94, there'd be temporary signal work since the one side is closed, and we have to get traffic back onto the 4 lanes going over the bridge. So there'll be the lane closures, and then the traffic control on the north end of the job will extend over 94 as far as closing lanes and shifting traffic, getting traffic flowing in the right lane to get it crossed over one side or the other.
This is Dan. This looks like a well thought out plan. I have one question about the airport. I'm airport commission chair, and I've been asked about the intersection with the runway. There's about 500 feet between the road and the runway. And when a pilot gets too low, he may not remember to check both ways for road traffic. I remember a few years ago, an exciting moment when a guy got real low and didn't see the semi coming and just barely missed it. That doesn't happen very often. But the question is whether it would be possible to lower the grade of the road past that runway area somewhat. There's several issues. One is cost, one is the water table, but I wonder if you could address that.
Yeah, we can look at that, but you're right. It is, drainage is always the problem where we have a highway that's already pretty much at grade. You start to go deeper, you lower that profile, you have to drain the roadway. So you have, where does the stormwater go? How do you make your ditches work? So there may be some opportunity to maybe go a little bit lower, but I'm not sure how much for that reason. It's sort of gets to be kind of a drainage issue to be able to drain the roadway and properly. So that's probably the controlling thing here.
Yes, I think if a small reduction in grade were possible without excessive expense, that would be very nice. But I think personally, there's no hope of reducing the grade significantly because of water table and drainage issue. Thank you.
Yeah, yep, that's something we'll consider. So,
Hey, Ross, Randy, ID again, if I could just
sure.
piggyback a little bit on Dr. Johnson's comments. During construction itself, just to make sure if we're using any kind of heavy equipment or any kind of cranes in the area, especially with the light work around the lights, there's a gap in the lights because of that runway approach. We just had to make the contractor cognizant that is a runway approach in a certain section there. They can't just set up a crane or start setting up equipment.
I suspect once we start coordinating with the FAA, they will probably tell us that, because that's something I have to do as part of my coordination is inform them of the project, and they're going to probably come and give us all the rules, and I'm sure that'll be something they'll point out that we have to really avoid height issues right off that runway for sure. Yeah.
Correct. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question on the slide after this one where it showed more 610th Avenue. It says close there. So is your intention to close that town road, town road during construction?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
I just know that there's
during that phase only,
Okay,
right?
go.
Ross?
Right. I think it could be, let's see if did I show that? I know under phase 2, it's closed.
Yes.
And I think probably I bet phase 1, did I show that closed too? Yeah. Yeah, I closed it under both phases just to provide that relief for the traffic signal there, and thinking they can go the other way, and it's not too inconvenient to go to the east and then back down to 29. Do you think there's an issue with that? Or?
Well, I just know that we have a lot of traffic that comes off of E and crosses over because they don't like taking B. Right now, they cross over on 610th, and I know we have, there's a big farm that has several semis that lives on that 610th, and then you go further to the east, and we have Lightning Trucking that's based out of there, and I know they use that road to cut across. So I just wanted to clarify that was going to be closed, and that was what your intent was, that they'd have to go around.
Okay.
I don't know that those two places will be very happy with that, but if it's only 12 weeks, we can probably live with it.
Yeah.
Well, it'd
maybe
be 24 weeks, I suppose. Total.
Perhaps under perhaps on one phase or the other, maybe this phase we can reopen it for them. I'd rather, it's better not to have too many gaps in the work zone if we can, maybe during that first phase when northbound's closed, we close them too, just so we can get it all paved and not have to gap it. And maybe under this phase, the second phase, since northbound's open, we'll reopen 610th, and that would make sense then.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I think at least they'd.
Then they're not shut off for the whole season. Yeah. Yep.
Correct.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll make that change. Yeah. So as far as the businesses now that are listening in, does anyone so far have any concerns regarding your trucking or deliveries, Leadstone, or any of the other corporations? Have any insights or any concerns as far as what you'd like to see, or things that might impact you that we haven't noticed?
I'll just, this Steve again from Walmart. The considerations when B was redone, worked really well for us. So I expect them to be the same for this project. So I'm good with it.
Matt from Walmart, I also appreciate the fact you are looking at changing that right left instead of just right only on that phase one. We have a lot of trucks that'll have to end up going back around, and some concern of routing them back through town and so forth too. So
Yeah, okay.
thoughts on that.
All right, we'll change that. We'll open that back up and you can go either way then. And like you say, during construction, if there's issues, that's a change that could be made on the fly if it turns out that's an impact. So we'll toss out the right in, right out idea. So.
Thank you.
So Dave Lysis with Ahern. I don't have any concerns. Most of my traffic will be turning on 3M Drive and it'll still be accessible both ways, so.
Okay.
This is Colin. Same with Silgan. We're, off of Indian Head Drive. Most of our traffic comes down 3M.
3M, okay,
We should be fine.
okay. Yep.
Yeah,
that's,
I agree with those guys. This is Nikki from Stainless Tech. Most of our traffic comes from 3M Drive and the interstate.
Okay, that's, yeah, that'll have a temporary signal. That'll be important one. We'll keep that running and keep that open, so, okay. So yeah, as far as schedule, the project is scheduled to be let in January of 2022. So our construction season is construction season 2022. So the final plans are due the end of next year. So over the next year and a half or so, we'll be going through the environmental process and the design process and all those engineers and designers to put a good plan together for the county and get the specs written and hopefully get some good bids and get the project done at a good price. So. As far as the those of you who occupy a business park, is there anything like special events or anything unusual events or anything that we should be thinking about? Or
Aside from your typical holidays, we
typically
restrict Independence Day, Memorial Day. Contractor shuts down for those.
The only thing I could add, Ross, Randy Idy here again. The airport annually has an air show, bring a lot of public in. I don't know if Dr. Johnson knows the actual date on that. I think they've gone more the fall, I believe.
Oh, I thought they canceled it. Am I wrong?
Oops. No, maybe they've canceled it. If we get a date, we'll send it to you, Ross. So
okay.
you have.
Remember this is year after next, so
Yeah, 2022.
2022.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Thanks.
Yeah. Hopefully, hopefully the future is bright and things can open back up.
Yes, so we'll get you that date.
As far as, does anybody want to share any existing traffic issues, or what are you seeing out there now as far as?
Well, what you saw 6 months ago.
Yeah, or what you saw
Yeah,
6
right,
months.
yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's pretty quiet right now, but under normal times, what are some of the issues you're seeing as far as traffic operations or turning or intersections? Or is there any areas or any places that seem to have problems? I noticed we've heard about issues with fog, more towards the south part of that project, visibility problems due to fog, things like that. Anything else that we might be able to address with the project that people can think of? Or
Well, I don't know if it's project related. This is Colin at the Silgan Containers, but between 3 and maybe 5:30, those light signals at the intersection of 3M Drive and B, especially when you're coming out of 3M Drive, either going north or south or even straight across, they're like 10 seconds. You can barely get, 10 cars across that intersection before it turns red again. I don't know who's in charge of that, but I don't know why it's so short.
Well, that would be the city, so I'll jump on the sword. We'll take a look at it. Is it just between 3 and 5:30 in the afternoon you get short turning movement?
Well, something's changed because it was really never that short up till about a month ago.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. Thanks.
But it could be the same, around, shift change, whether it's, Silgan or Walmart or even 3M.
Yeah, Randy, the east-west is triggered by traffic, and the north-south signal stays green unless there's traffic. The cycle is fairly short. In general, a queue of a truck and 2 cars, or maybe a half dozen cars, is able to get through when the light is triggered. It is fairly short.
Okay, thanks.
At that same intersection, and I end up going south, I drive B twice a day. The pavement, the concrete is very, very rough, very rough. There's chunks missing. I don't know if you have any plans to fill some of that before this project comes underway. And I've also been very curious on County Road B, all of the median lights and the light poles, the lights are never on. So when it is a foggy or a rainy day, visibility is extremely low.
One of the things we will be improving with the project, there will be new streetlights running down that median. So that's one of the things that we'll be improving.
Yeah,
But the issue with not working right now, maybe Dustin or the county can speak to that. So.
They're going to point to the city, Ross, I think.
Oh, the city, okay.
Yeah, we had those lights shorted out for us underground in the spring, but they should be working now. If not, we'll get out there and look at them. But they were out for quite a while in the late winter. But the new lights hopefully will help and get some new, better electrical feeds into them.
So so as far as existing median street lights and the traffic signals, all that's maintained and owned by the city. Is that right?
Yeah, John and I are wrestling on that, but
Yeah.
the lights are, I think, are probably are. So
okay.
We got to make sure they're running and operational to get through to 2022. That is ours.
Right.
Yeah. And we're going to put them back. There was a question on that. Do we want them back? And I think just for the reasons you guys have talked about, to help with the visibility, we want the lights back. So.
Right.
That'll be Randy's 2022 Christmas gift, is brand new lights from the county.
Yeah.
Okay. Except in front of the runway, we won't put any poles up there.
Yeah, a little problematic there.
Yeah,
More to come on that, but yeah.
And any plan to fill some of those potholes at the intersection of 3M Drive and B?
That's the counties, I think.
Yeah, we're doing that under routine maintenance. When the guys are out there, they're patching them, but a lot of times the trucks just bounce whatever we put in right out. So it's a never ending cycle.
As far as the new highway, it will be concrete. We're planning to restore it. The whole thing will be rebuilt with concrete pavement. And we'll be looking at the length of the turn lanes at 3M and at Walmart, and working with the new traffic numbers and projections and making sure that the turn lane links are modern and up to date. So I'm not sure if anyone's seen any issues with traffic stacking up longer than what the turn lanes can support right now, if you've seen that. But we'll be looking at that and thinking about maybe adding one at 3M. A right turn lane separate, if we can fit it in there, if it warrants it. So those type of small improvements are important when you rebuild this sort of facility, to make sure you do it right so it lasts a long time, support the traffic growth that's forecast. So
So you said you have that intersection on 3M Drive and B. I notice sometimes semi trucks, if they're coming off the intersection and have to drive on 3M, it's really, really tight for them. And sometimes the car's there, it'll have to back up for them so they can make the corner.
Yeah, that's something that we're going to do is make sure that's wide enough of a turn radius. It does seem pretty minimal right now. You got to be a pretty good semi driver probably to swing that and not track in the grass or not push them out of the way. So that's important that we do that. We make sure that they have enough room to make a comfortable right turn and have the pavement width to do that. So we'll be improving that corner at least for that, for sure. So, because yeah, at a signal where you really can't get out of the way, you got to make sure the driver can make that turn and not encroach into the other lane. So, and we'll be checking that at every intersection.
The only other concern I have, and I don't know if anyone on this meeting can help with that, but 2 years ago during that winter where we had, I don't know how many feet of snow in February, in that time frame on 12 and B, I believe there was 2 fatalities. Have they looked at that to see if anything can, I don't know if it was someone blowing through the light going north-south or east-west, but they were relatively close together and
really.
Part of our plan development process is to take a look at crash history and fatalities we treat. We dig into that and figure out, was there a common cause? Is there anything that geometrically or as engineers we can solve? But it's good to know.
Yeah, good to know if it was an issue having to do with 1229 itself or out on, that's really, that's beyond the scope of this project. Our project sort of stops really just north of that intersection. So if there are intersection problems at 12 and 29, that's the DOT would have to address that. That's really sort of beyond, I think, what we can do with this project, but we'll certainly look at it if it's, if the crashes or if the issues were on B itself or caused by B, then we'd look at it to try to address it. So, but that's a good point. That's a good observation. I'll check the crashes again and see what happened and get the reports where those happened and what they were about. So.
Yeah, and I think they were both in the morning, probably around somewhere between 6 and 6:30 in the morning and winter. So road conditions, maybe someone was asleep. I really don't know, but it's good to hear you look into that.
Yeah. Yep.
Any short-term plans to fix B north of 94?
I'll let Dustin chime in.
That we're looking at some short-term fix here as far as concrete joint repair, but it's nothing but a Band-Aid here until 3-4 years when we get the next section done.
I lose about 3 fillings every time I go down that road. So bumpy.
Yeah, as soon as we put material in, it gets pounded right back out with the amount of truck traffic into both truck stops and to the industrial park. So there again, that's a never-ending battle because of the high traffic rates.
And the traffic rates are only going to get higher, it seems like, now with more development being out in the industrial parks. So
Fortunately, the county was able to get the funding and we'll be looking at fixing that segment up there. That does get heavy volumes and we hear it's a million gallons of diesel fuel a month they sell out of that Love's up there. So it's a lot of trucks. Yeah.
2023 we're looking at
2023 for that
piece. Yeah.
Right after this one, the year after this one's done, then they'll be doing that one. So it's 4:45. I guess that's sort of a brief overview. Dustin, does county want to add anything or anything else you want to just for now bring up or think of anything?
No, I think you covered most of it. Like I said, if anybody has anything going forward, I mean, just feel free to contact us at the highway department or contact Ross at CBS and we can definitely work with everybody.
We do have the, we do have the email contact list for the project for the industrial park. So perhaps it'd be worthwhile occasionally to send out just a group update or just sort of let everyone know how the project's coming along over the next year. We could do that if you wanted. Might be just to kind of keep in touch and let you know the progress. Yeah.
I appreciate that. That'd be good.
This is Steve from Walmart. If you notice driving around, and I drove truck for 30 years before getting into safety, some states have the flashing yellow light warning you when a signal is going to change. And my perspective, it's kind of hard to gauge the traffic speed on Highway 12 and 29 as it's coming into Menominee, and maybe that's what's caused some of those accidents at the junction with County B. It really does help a truck driver or any traffic really when you come up to an intersection and that is somewhat out in the country. If you had a flashing yellow saying that it's going to change, because when I see that, I automatically back out of it. And with that traffic coming in at 55 miles an hour, they're doing 60, 65 to beat the light, and then somebody turn in front of them. I think that's probably what's happening. The other thing I'll just address, I've covered with our asset protection that when it's foggy, to just have them remind all truck drivers to turn right coming out of our facility, because it's a lot easier to turn right and keep going. We have the same problem down in Illinois versus trying to make a left turn when it's foggy. So hopefully that'll take care of that issue too.
There is a flashing yellow warning on 1229 on both sides of B. The light for the north and southbound traffic there is traffic controlled. The yellow warning light starts flashing if it's time for a car or truck on B to trigger the light. If there is no traffic on B, then the yellow warning light flashes until a vehicle shows up and changes the light.
Yeah, you're talking right at the intersection?
Yes. On 1229, there's yellow flashers both eastbound and westbound.
Okay.
I thought those were on continuously.
As far as I know, yeah, I don't stand out there 24 hours to check.
Yeah, I'll look a lot closer now that I brought it up, because the ones I'm referring to are 300-400 feet before the intersection. So
yeah, it's useful, but sometimes it's flashing when there's nobody on B. I don't think that's harmful to have the 1229 traffic slow down in case it changes.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay. Well, I think for now that's I guess an initial overview of where we're at right now. Like I say, over the next few months, year, we'll be getting the design going and looking at the signal timings and geometrics and starting to get the plans ready. So we'll be in touch. We have the mailing list, and we need some help or need more info. I guess we'll send out an email and see, get some opinions and how things go. So.
Good, thank you guys. This is well thought out.
Okay. So, all right, appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So,
Thank you.
all right, I guess we'll sign off. I guess thanks everyone for calling in. This is the first time I think we've attempted a public meeting online. Seemed to go pretty good. So appreciate everyone calling in and participating. It helps us out to hear what's going on. So.
Yeah, my only suggestion is in the future, don't send both a Zoom and a Meet invitation. Okay. Just send one or the other.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Yep. Okay, very good. All right. Appreciate everyone calling in. We'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. All right.